We're back with another IPS Film Room feature, and we're getting this out to you right away as NC State has just landed a commitment from 6'10" Wyoming center Scottie Ebube. Jake, just happened. We've kind of known about Ibube for a little while, obviously. We've got this already taped and ready to roll. But before we get into the film room on Ibube, averaged 5 points and 2.7 boards last year, which doesn't look like a lot. But again, similar to what we said with Van Allen Lubin, he did that in 10.4 minutes.
Yeah.
So if you extrapolate that out over a 36-minute pace, and again, he's not going to get that type of a role, but this is a guy who, when he's been on the court, now the crazy thing is if you look at stat reference, which we'll talk about, all 3 years he's played, when he's been on the court, he's been super efficient in his production.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's a guy who I think, and we'll get into it when we kick off the film itself, but he has a skill set that I think gives you hope that when he gets more playing time and has more of a role in a more competitive environment, it translates, right? Like I think there's just things that are baked into his game that you're not going to have to ask too much of him. So I do really like that about his game.
Yeah, looking at his per 4 minute splits at Southern Illinois in 2022-2023, yeah, he was on pace for 30 points and 18 rebounds. That'll work.
Yeah.
40 points per game, which again, a little obviously extrapolated out a lot. He only played 4 minutes a game that year. But you go 21 and 13 his second year there, and then his first year at Wyoming last year, over 40 minutes. He was at 19 points, 11 rebounds, which was about on pace of what we had for Van Allen Lubin. And so you look at the effectiveness, right? 68% from the field for him. Knows his range, knows his game. He is inside the paint. I mean, he's not shooting threes. He's a rim run guy, which we'll look at. We'll rebound it for you. Again, very, very efficient on the court.
Yeah, and I think that he's somebody who, for me, flashes across a lot of different areas, and we'll get into it. And I want to point out when we start playing this film package, you're gonna see a condensed version of him, if that makes sense. Like we're just going to highlight specific areas that I think he did well. And in some cases, the numbers overall might not support what we're talking about, but I just have to believe what my eyes tell me when I start looking at the film. So as we start getting into it, the first area we're going to take a look at is his ability to play above the rim. And specifically, it's a lot of plays that happen off of roll situations. So as we start looking at it, he's a lob catcher. Like he's able to get to a spot and you're going to see a couple lobs right off of the rip where he's really coming in hot. Like, I mean, it's a situation where when you're playing him as a big, you can't drop too much or you can't stay with the ball too much, I should say, because if you do, I mean, he's athletic enough to finish at the rim for sure.
Yeah, there's a force he plays with. Right. He's listed at 6'10", 275 pounds, but he actually moves really well, I think, for a guy 275 pounds. He reminds me a lot of a bigger Malik Abu, who played at NC State under Mark Godfrey. Now, again, I'm not saying he's Malik. Malik was a guy who, he got some draft invite buzz. He came back for his last year, didn't work out well. I'm not saying he's to that level, but just watching him play and like his movements and how he maneuvers on the post and in transition, there's a lot of that type of game to him. There's a lot of that to his game to where you can see some explosiveness that I think can potentially translate to the ACC level, because that to me a lot of times with the big is what I wonder about going from what you perceive to be a mid-major level to a high-major level. Is can they compete athletically?
Oh, yeah.
And I think with him, there are some things there that pops athletically.
Oh, yeah. Like you look at a play like this where, he's coming off of like an easy little look. He misses it, but he's a good 2-foot jumper. He gets his rebound, gathers, kind of loses his balance, but can recover quick enough to where he's going to dunk on somebody. Like 2 hands, 2 feet. Like that's kind of his specialty. Like that's
rolling.
Yeah, rolling's big. Like that's something that you're going to see a lot. I'll let you walk through this one, but I mean, you see what happens when a big commits here.
Yeah, I mean, he's really comfortable in pick and roll situations. You see him here with a nice catch in traffic, and he's looking to finish strong. He's looking to finish strong. Here's another one where he rim runs to the front of the rim. Again, gets right by the basket. he's able to go and finish. This is one of my favorite ones here.
No, I love this play.
Gets a little poke away in transition, and he's got a guy riding his hip. Like, that's a guy 6'10", 275 pounds, everyone, running the floor.
Yeah.
And we say, like, you're looking at the numbers and you're thinking, oh, this is a guy who gave you 5 points and 2 rebounds. No, there's some stuff to his game. And we're going to talk about, or at least I will in a little bit, why he only played that much time. But the athleticism that he plays with is, I think, something that you have to be excited about. And for a guy who, let's be honest, we're not projecting this to be a 25, 30-minute a night guy.
No.
I mean, he's going to come into NC State and give you 5 to 10 to 15 minutes a night. And he's already proven that he can be productive in those types of bursts.
Yeah. And you look at just like they're playing, I think, Concordia, St. Paul. So it's a smaller team, but like it's this kind of clip right here gives you kind of hope for what the future is going to look like for him. Is if he can just get a smaller guy on his back, he's really comfortable just burying, going off of 2 feet and dunking on somebody. So for me, like I watch plays like this and I'm like, well, it's a double-edged sword. You can say, well, he's only doing this at Wyoming. And I'll die on the hill of the Mountain West is not a bad conference. Like there was some good basketball being played in the Mountain West last year. And I think it's like, okay, well, yeah, but he's also playing with Mountain West level guards. So as you talk about him going to the ACC and, he's going to be able to be in a pick and roll situation with a Darion Williams, and he's going to be able to, have Trey Holloman put him in a pick and roll situation. And to me, it's just like he's going to get better looks. He'll get more looks like we're seeing right now with him getting wide open opportunities on the roll and wide open looks off of lobs because the guys around him are just going to be more commanding. Like they're going to draw more gravity and give him more looks like that. So it's not like you're going to ask him to do more one-on-one against ACC level competition, right? I mean, you're going to be asking him to do more wide open things.
Yeah, and really fitting his skill set and doing so in a limited period of time. I'm not concerned about the transfer up in level of competition because I think the athleticism is there. The issue for him, and you saw it a lot at Wyoming, and it probably impacted his minutes. Well, it's 2 things. One, he's got to get in better shape and more consistent shape.
Yeah.
Reading up content on him, coaches at his previous 2 stops both were asked about his minutes and why wasn't he playing more. And a lot of it, each time they pointed to conditioning. And they referenced he plays so hard at his size that he gets gas quickly.
Oh, yeah.
And that's something where I'm interested to see. We know Will Wade puts a premium on conditioning. They work hard. We've already seen them doing it here in the offseason. Can you get him into really, really good shape coming into this upcoming year? I think that's the first area. And then the other, Jake, is the foul trouble. I mean, you go and look at his fouls at Wyoming. I'm going through his game log right now. He had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games where he finished with 4 fouls. And he had 1 game where he fouled out. He fouled out of a game on November 10th where he played 8 minutes.
Elite foul per minutes number.
Yes, that would be like, do not ask me to do the per 40 minutes for the fouls, everyone. Because actually I can. I'll go ahead and give you 2 so it's per 49 fouls at Wyoming this year per 40 minutes.
Oof.
So those are 2 areas that he has to control and get under control. But again, that's why the minutes are down. This isn't the minutes were low for him because he can't play.
Yeah. And when you talk about playing at pace as well, like you're going to play on a team that's looking to turn people over and get up and down the court, like that is definitely somewhere where the newly appointed director of Pack Performance is going to have to step in. But like turning back to the film, like we'll roll through some of the last bit of him as a roll man. I mean, you look at this play, he's exploding off 2 feet, right inside the circle where you want him, with 2 guys trying to contest, and he can finish through contact. Like this is a big, strong dude that just doesn't need a whole bunch of space in order to get stuff off. Like that's another one, like dump pass that he's just going to be able to get and finish. Like he doesn't require, like you've seen guys, and we've talked about it in these, like you think back to Ebube who could dunk. Like, I mean, he was a powerful dunker, but his time from catch to load up to getting back up is long. This one you'll see is a lot quick. He's more used to it. It's a lot quicker, and he can get to that spot a whole lot faster.
And that's the area where, again, comparing him to Malik, he plays from such an athletic base at all times, right? Like a lot of times the bigs you were referencing earlier, you think of an Evie Dewana, a Jalen Gibson, even maybe an Ernest Ross to a degree. I think Ben Middlebrooks at times, they start out vertical, right? Like before they get the ball, they're two uprights, and now they've got to go load and go back up and finish. When you're watching these clips of Ebube here, everything he's catching is from a wide base in a squatted position already, which helps him play with more power, more force, more athleticism. And then also, like you said, it speeds up his timing. And so I think that's one of the reasons why you look at his numbers around the rim, he's been so good.
Yeah,
He's been so good around the rim because of how athletic and strong he's playing with his base.
yeah. Like you look at it right here, he's catching the ball. Like he's receiving the ball when he's already kind of in that deep squat, ready to explode out of it. Like there's not a whole bunch of, like you said, squatting back down and reloading. So for him, like that's an area, and it blends into this next part of the game we're going to look at, which is posting up. And I'll switch it over to full screen because, this is probably the farthest out you'll see him looking to post up right here. And that's one step out of the block. And it's a real simple game for him if he ever does post up. It's trying to get to his left shoulder, right hand finish. This is where he wants to. He wants 1 foot in the paint. He wants to catch it there and then just, go through guys. Like that's kind of his game. There's really not a whole lot of left hand to his game, so to speak. But
no,
like if you want him posting up, this is what you want it to look like. This is off of a switch, and he is just looking to get his man under the rim and just bully ball, and that's even more time than probably you want. But that's a big he's going up against and is able just to go through and get to a spot really well. It's probably a something at NC State you're not going to see a ton, I would imagine. But it's still nice to know that he can, at times, get a guy on his back and just get to the rim and finish. Which is, yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and you don't have to post him up, right? Like I think that's where you were going with it. Is NC State's not going to really feel the need to do that, but it's in his game, right? It's in his game. And the thing about it, I think was interesting reading up on him, and I'll be posting some of these articles I read on our forums at Inside Pack Sports. Coaches raved about his ability in watching him in practice. I was going back to an article last October in 2024, and their head coach at Wyoming, Sundance Wicks, was comparing him to Great Ozabor, Zach Edey in terms of his production, like when he's on the court. He talked about, he said, this is a guy who is very, very productive. He compared him to Graham Ike, who was a big-time player at Wyoming. And he says, Scottie is more athletic and more explosive than Graham. Graham's more skilled. Scottie is more brute and power. He could be a fabulous pro, but the mental has to catch up with the physical. He's a great kid and a hard worker. You guys will see. You throw it up and boom, he's just going to go get it. Graham will never catch up with Scottie's athleticism. And Graham Ike was a highly regarded player at Wyoming. And so when you look at Ebube, I mean, I think at this point in the process for NC State, just a big time pickup. Like again, we're not expecting major things here, Jake.
No,
but we're asking for a guy, right? 5 to 10 minutes. Can he be a player where you can say in those 5 to 10 minutes, I'm not losing much. I'm not dropping off much.
Yeah,
I think he can.
I tend to agree. I think it's just such a low risk pickup. Like, and another thing I like about him, like uses space well. Like that's a strong guy holding somebody off, kind of knowing where he can catch the ball and get into a spot where he's comfortable.
Go back to that one real quick.
Yeah,
reverses it to the other side, like good instincts to finish around the rim. Like again, it's weird. It's odd pointing things like this out, but you've seen guys, Jake, in this position kind of have to hesitate and try and go up on the same side and get it blocked from behind. But he's got the athleticism and awareness to go straight into a reverse layup there. That's not an easy play.
And it's not he has good hands. Like really good. You'll notice a lot of passes on lobs, on cuts to the basket. It's solid. That's not an easy catch. That ball is probably not in the best spot. You want that to be like, I get the passer seeing the defender over there in the middle of the court, so he doesn't want to throw it that way. So he kind of throws it back shoulder a little bit. But that's a hard catch, and then to immediately go up into reverse, it ain't easy, But we can transition. I think we can just flow straight into this part of his game. And this is what I was probably most surprised about when I looked at his stats and his numbers. I think he only had 8 blocks last year.
Yeah.
And you know, that's a bit surprising. And I think there's probably more on the table with more minutes. And you'll see it as we look at some of these clips here. Like he does a decent job of staying straight up, and he's long enough to make plays. You know, around the rim, he was stout. Like guys aren't going to push him around. But I was like, there's one play in particular I'm looking for to come up here. But like something like that. Like I think you see more of this at NC State when you're encouraging him to just wall a guy off. Like he's long enough to make that play pretty consistently. And I think this is another one where he's going to come weak side and come from kind of behind the play a little bit, but can get up. I mean, that's pretty high up the backboard and get a block. I guess I was surprised, like, and I'm curious on your take. How does a guy with his size profile playing in the Mountain West only end up with like 8 blocks on the year? Like right there. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah, 3.6% block rate on Bart Torvik, which isn't very high. I'm interested, you know, I would love to talk to Patrick Stacy about this, NC State's assistant GM and their head of analytics, because he was the GM at Wyoming last year. And he played a role in Ebube ending up there from Southern Illinois. And I wonder if there's something statistically there or maybe defensively with how they play that impacts it a little bit. Because when I was looking at his numbers at SIU and at his previous 2 years, he had a 7% block rate as a freshman. He had a 6% block rate as a sophomore. And that number dipped to 3.6% as a junior. So I'm wondering if maybe because they're so numbers driven, maybe they're doing some things defensively that impacts his block opportunities. I don't know. Because you're right. You would think he would profile more as a shot blocker with his size, his athleticism, his power, his length. You know, looking at his numbers, he had 2 games where he had 2 blocks in. He played 15 minutes against South Dakota and 22 minutes against Utah State. And so he had 2 blocks in both of those games. But everything else, you had 1 sprinkled in. Like you said, he finished with 8. I do think he can be a better rim protector than maybe his numbers at Wyoming suggest. So I'm wondering if it's a little bit maybe scheme driven.
Yeah, I think that could definitely have something to do with it, as well as the foul trouble issues. And, you know, like he probably can't make some of those plays when you're playing with 2-3 fouls. So maybe that limits things as well. It's curious to me. Now, James, I think it's about that point in the video where we start to transition over and kind of make some predictions or thoughts. So I guess I'll ask an opinion of you first. What do you think with regards to Ebube being a ACC caliber player and potentially having a role on a team that's looking to contend on the ACC level?
I would not have an issue with it. Now, I don't think he's going to play a major role from a minute standpoint, but I think he is a guy who can definitely be a backup big man for you and be productive in a 5 to 10 to 15 minute role, and then even give you a spot start or two. You know, there were some games where I go back to the San Jose State game at Wyoming last year. He played 17 minutes. He took 14 shots in 17 minutes against San Jose State and finished with 22 points in that game. And like, you know how these things work, Jake. A lot of times we base our expectations on players on their numbers. And so you see a guy come in who averaged 5 points and 3 rebounds, and you're not thinking he can give you much. But like we said at the beginning, and it's going across the ticker here, play 10 minutes a night.
Yeah.
Right. Like you're not getting enough. I don't know. It's hard to produce a lot in 10 minutes. And so can he be a role player on a really good team? I think so. The thing I like about him is the tape exceeds the numbers to me.
Absolutely. Things pop. That's what I was saying from the get-go. Like there are traits that pop on tape. Like you think to Hollywood Smothers on the football side, where like, you know, the production wasn't there, but you look at the spring tape even from that Oklahoma spring game that he participated in. And then there's just like stuff that you're like, wow, that translates. Like that translates no matter where you're playing, what level you're playing at. Like the ability to do that is going to, like, you keep that ability with you as you go up through the levels or as you're playing on a bigger stage, right? And I think you look at the basketball side too, and there's a lot of kind of Mo Diarra-ish traits to this, I feel like, where, and even probably more so because he has more on tape than Mo did coming out of Missouri. But to me, it sets up as a situation of a guy that could come in and at the end of the year, and you look at the role that he had, and it might not be a starter, but you look back at the role and you're like, man, that came out of nowhere. Like he had a really, really, really good year for what the expectations were coming into it.
Yeah. Fan favorite, right? Like this is the type of guy who profiles as a fan favorite with his ability to play around the rim. I think, like with a lot of these guys who come in as reserves, his role is going to ultimately be dictated by probably things that happen around him.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see how those things play out. But still, to get a player who looks like this on tape in mid-June, that's pretty impressive, man.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I think it is.
Yeah.
Because I saw the numbers, and you think you got a 6'10", 275-pound guy from Wyoming who averaged 5 points a game, and you're thinking, well, okay. But then you watch the tape and you say, man, he's a guy who plays with a force that you don't – how do you word it? You don't really expect to see coming off the bench.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like he has a force to his game that you don't expect to see coming off the bench. And I think when you look across the landscape of the ACC, I don't know about you, I don't feel like there's a ton of power guys in this league.
No.
When guys that are in that 6'10", 280-pound range that can play still with the amount of athleticism he looks to play out. All those clips we're running, this is a guy who's listed at 275 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
And you know how the listings work, Mr. McSwain.
You get more on height, you get less on weight.
There you go. Typically, now
if you're
when you're a big guy,
yeah. If you're a guard, if you're a guard,
when you're a big, right? And the bigs, so that 275 might be a little generous, and he's still doing the things we're seeing on tape, right? So I think you have a lot to be excited about with him, and again, exciting in terms of managing your expectations. We're not telling anyone this is an all ACC player or anything like that.
No, not at all.
What you're looking to have, though, when you're a team that's trying to be a top 10, top 15, top 20 team, you're looking for players who minimize drop-offs when they come off the bench. You're looking for guys where I know if I go to Scottie for 10 minutes a night, in those 10 minutes, he's going to give me the same amount of production or close to it that I was getting from Vin Allen Lubin.
Absolutely.
It might be different, but it's going to be similar.
Yeah.
That's what you're looking for.
And the stat that I've probably repeated more than anything at this point in the process is that we looked it up early on. NC State as a team for the 2024-2025 season had 24 dunks. Scottie Ebube in 10 minutes a night had, I think, 28 or something along those lines.
Yeah, I can pull them up for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's close. So, I mean, the level of athleticism and quick twitch in a big guy, like that's something that I think NC State has needed for a while, and now you have multiple pieces like that. It's refreshing to see.
There you have it. NC State just landed a commitment from Scottie Ebube. We did not just put up a commitment article at Inside Pack Sports. We had the film room ready for you guys to break down his tape. We're going to have more on Scottie here over the next couple of days, his impact, what it means for others on the roster. We'll have that up for you as well. As always, if you haven't yet, please subscribe to Inside Pack Sports here at YouTube at Inside Pack Sports. And also, if you came and found us here at YouTube, check out the website, www.insidepacksports.com for the latest information on NC State athletics.